When you think about international travel, you budget for the flight, the hotel, maybe some fun stuff. But what if there's a new kind of hidden cost popping up? A pretty significant one, actually, tied to a new U.S. border policy.
Exactly. That's what we're digging into today, this new U.S. visa integrity fee. It just became law. And we've looked at it from a few angles, pulling from reports like Understanding the New U.S. Visa Integrity Fee, some articles in USA Today, and Forbes. Plus, we checked out statements from the White House, the American Immigration Council, the U.S. Travel Association, and some legal analysis from lawyer Stephen Brown.
Okay, so quite a bit of material. Our goal here is pretty clear. Figure out what this fee actually means for people, like who has to pay it. And maybe zoom out a bit, what could this do to international travel overall? Right, let's get into it. So to really get a handle on this, where did this fee actually come from? What's the backstory?
Well, it's part of that legislation from the Trump administration, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. It was just recently enacted.
Right, okay. And the fee itself, how much are we talking?
So right now, it's set at $250. But the act does say it can be increased later, and it'll be adjusted for inflation, too. And crucially, this isn't instead of other fees. It's on top of any other authorized fees you might already have to pay.
Wow, okay. An extra $250 per person.
Mm.
If you're thinking about a family trip, say 4 people, that's $1,000 extra. Just like that.
Yeah.
That's a big chunk of change. Makes you think about what else you could do with that money, doesn't it? So why? What's the official reason for adding this cost?
Well, according to USA Today, the stated goal is to support, and I'm quoting here, enforcement and administrative efforts related to U.S. visa policy and border security.
Enforcement and administration. Okay.
And the White House statement really doubled down on that. They mentioned the act includes plans for securing the border, getting resources to Homeland Security, specifically funding for more IC agents, for detention centers, and also for completing the U.S. border wall.
Okay. So the money is earmarked pretty specifically for those security and enforcement functions.
That seems to be the official line, yes. It's sort of framed as a user fee directly funding that infrastructure.
Got it. So the big question then becomes, who actually has to cough up this $250? Is it every single person coming into the U.S.?
Not quite everyone, but it's broad. The act says it applies to any alien issued a non-immigrant visa at the time of such issuance.
Okay, let's unpack that a bit. Alien just means someone who isn't a U.S. citizen or national, right?
And non-immigrant visa, that's basically a temporary visa. Think tourism, studying, temporary work.
Yeah.
Not someone coming to live permanently.
Right, temporary stays, that makes sense. But what about, our neighbors to the north? Canadians. They usually just drive across visa-free for visits.
Good question. And generally, you're right. Canadian citizens, in most cases, don't need a visa to visit the U.S., according to the Canadian government. So typically, Canadian citizens won't have to pay this fee for, say, a vacation.
Okay, so citizens are mostly off the hook.
But, and this is a really important point, permanent residents of Canada, even if they live there, they do often need a non-immigrant visa to enter the U.S. And if they need that visa, they will have to pay the $250 fee.
Okay. So citizenship versus residency is key here. That's a crucial distinction.
Definitely. And it's interesting, there was that old alien registration thing where most Canadians didn't need fingerprinting. This is different. It's purely a financial thing, hitting even some people who live right next door.
Right. Okay, now here's something I bet a lot of people are wondering. That $250, is there any way around it? Like, can you get it waived? Or maybe get it back later?
The bill is very clear on the first part. Nope, it cannot be waived or reduced. It's fixed.
Okay, no waivers. What about getting it back? Reimbursement?
Yes, there is a path to reimbursement. Lawyer Stephen Brown actually described it as something like a refundable security deposit.
Huh. A security deposit?
Yeah, the idea being it's supposed to incentivize people to comply with U.S. immigration laws. Follow the rules, get your money back.
Okay, so what are the rules? What do you have to do to get reimbursed?
You need to meet specific conditions. Primarily, you have to comply with all the terms of your visa. That means things like leaving the U.S. on time specifically, no later than 5 days after your visa expires, and not trying to overstay or extend your admission period improperly.
So follow the departure dates strictly.
Or alternatively, you could get reimbursed if you successfully apply for and are granted an extension of your non-immigrant status while you're there. or if your status actually changes legally, like you become a lawful permanent resident, a green card holder.
Okay, so compliance, a formal extension, or adjusting to permanent status, those are the triggers for getting the money back.
Right. Now, the bill doesn't spell out the exact process, how you file the claim or how long it takes. That might be something figured out later, but the possibility of getting it back is written into the law, provided you meet those terms.
Interesting. So it's not just gone forever, potentially. All right, putting all these pieces together, what does this mean for, the bigger picture for international travel to the U.S. generally?
Well, first off, there's a bit of a question mark on when this actually starts. The act is law, yes, but Stephen Brown pointed out in his analysis that the bill itself didn't actually specify an effective date for the fee to kick in.
Huh. So it's law, but we don't know the exact start date for collection yet.
Seems that way. The implementation details are still a little fuzzy right now.
Okay, but assuming it does kick in soon, what are the experts predicting? What kind of impact could this have?
The reactions we've seen are pretty strong, particularly from immigration and travel groups. Jorge Lowery from the American Immigration Council, he told USA Today that adding $250 has the very real potential to significantly reduce the number of people that can afford to do that.
Reduce the number of people who can afford to visit.
Yeah, and he pointed out that literally hundreds of thousands of people get these temporary visas every single month. So we're not talking about a small number of travelers. It suggests, a potentially big economic hit. Fewer tourists means less money spent on flights, hotels, restaurants, shopping.
Yeah, that ripple effect could be substantial. And maybe it sends a kind of message, too, like the U.S. is getting more expensive, maybe less welcoming.
That's exactly the concern raised by the travel industry. Jeff Freeman, he's the CEO of the U.S. Travel Association. He didn't mince words. In a statement to Congress, he called these fees foolish. He described them as get this, a self-imposed tariff on one of our nation's largest exports, international travel spending.
A self-imposed tariff. Wow, that's strong language. Why a tariff?
His point was that this money isn't actually being put back into making travel better or smoother. It's not funding faster customs lines or better airport facilities. He argued it does nothing but discourage visitation, especially when, as he put it, travelers are already worried about the welcome they'll get and the high prices here.
So it just adds another barrier without improving the experience.
Right. And that ties into what Forbes reported, too. U.S. tourism officials basically said, look, anything that makes visiting the U.S. harder or more expensive can deter a lot of people. It makes the U.S. seem less competitive as a destination.
Makes sense. And you have to think about this in the context of everything else going on.
Right.
Like, our sources mention things like the existing tensions, say, between the U.S. and Canada, trade issues, that rhetoric about Canada becoming the 51st state, adding a new fee like this on top of all that, it probably doesn't help smooth things over, does it?
Absolutely not. It likely just adds another layer of friction, another complication, at a time when maybe fostering goodwill and easy travel would be more beneficial.
Yeah, definitely something to consider.
Okay, so we've walked through the what, who, and why of this new visa integrity fee. We've heard the initial reactions, concerns about affordability, tourism impacts. It really is fascinating, isn't it, how one specific fee tucked into a larger bill could potentially ripple out and affect individual travel plans, sure, but also big things like national economies and even international relationships. It just highlights how interconnected all these policy areas really are.
It absolutely does. So as you're thinking about everything we've discussed today, how these, seemingly small administrative changes can have these broader effects on cost, perception, global ties, what part of this new fee stands out most to you? What aspect surprised you or maybe makes you think differently about international travel and border policies going forward?